Hi, my name is Kristen and this is Kristen Craves Books. So I am a little late with this, as always, but I did decide to do the 25 and 25 this year. I don't think I've ever done those before. I always do like a yearly TBR, forget about it, you know how that thing goes. But I saw that Bree from Four Paws in a Book put together a bingo board this year, and I thought that might be a better way for me to stick to it, where you have prompts and you pick a book rather than just pick 25 books randomly off my TBR. I think this is a smarter way for me personally. And I'm gonna put these all on the bingo board, print them out, put it somewhere that I can actually see all year and remind myself that I wanted to do this, because I think that's what I need. I need some visuals and some reminders, and it's 25. That's just such a perfect number that I had to do it. And I just liked a lot of the prompts. I love Bree, so why not try this? And I'll keep you updated on Instagram as well as I complete books on the bingo board, and I think it's just gonna be fun. So I'm gonna link Bree's channel in the video where she explains this whole thing to you down below. It's never too late to join this. It's just for fun and a good way to kind of keep you on track. I don't own all 25 physically, but I own a lot of them, so that's also a good thing. I'm gonna cheat right away. The first prompt is 2025 release, and I planned this video earlier, just never got around to finishing it, and I've already read a 2025 release, so we're just gonna throw that on there to make me feel good about myself, and that is Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. You know how much I love Sue Lynn Tan, the daughter of the moon goddess, and the follow-up to that I absolutely love. I love the prequel as well. This is set in the same world. It's just a standalone fantasy romance. I'm not gonna go into my thoughts here. I'm gonna do a wrap-up. I'm bringing back my wrap-ups. In 2025, we're feeling motivated again, so that is amazing. And I can't wait to talk about this one because I have a lot to say, both positive and not so positive. But it's just so good to be back with Sue Lynn Tan's writing. You just know it's her when you're reading it, and it brings me comfort for some reason. But look at this edition. Stunning, gorgeous, she's beautiful. This is just the first printing. There's a quote on here you can't see on the camera probably, but look how hot pink those edges are. I mean, that's what's important, right? So yeah, this was a 2025 release. It came out the first week of January, and I had a ALC from Libra FM as well, so I tandem read this one, and it was a delightful experience to be back in this world. I'll talk about it more in a future video, but one off the list already. For a one-word title, there were a lot of options, but I went for one that I've had on my shelves for a while. It screams Kristen. I just haven't picked it up. I don't know why, and this is Soulless by Gail Gallagher, and actually my copy, you can't see that, can you, is signed, which I don't think I realized until I just got a glimpse of that right now. I had no idea. I just grabbed this because there are gorgeous illustrations all throughout this that I absolutely love, and as I'm looking at this, the writing's pretty big, so I can probably get through this one pretty quickly. And I want to be somebody who reads more historical romance, because I do think that that is something I would love. And I think that if you add a bit of a fantasy element to it as well, it's gonna be something that I like. So I know that the character in this doesn't have a soul. She is a spinster whose father is both Italian and dead, and she's really attacked by a vampire, breaking all standards of social etiquette. I think the sense of humor in this is gonna work for me as well. And look at the pages, it's just such a pretty object, as is Immortal. So, and it's signed. That's really, really exciting. So yeah, I gotta take better care of this one, I guess. And I can't wait to finally read it. And I've heard good things about this entire series. The next prompt involves travel. And much like Bree, I do not like travel books. I do not like fantasy novels where you're following characters on a long journey. I just find that tedious. I don't like road trip like contemporary romances. I never have. So I struggled with this one, and then I was looking at my shelves and I was like, duh, you have this. This is Miss Percy's travel guide to the Welsh Moors and Feral Dragons by Quimby Olsen. Travel is right in the title, and this is actually the sequel to, oh god, it's a long title just like this one, Miss Percy's, I'll put up the cover here. Even though I love that book so much, I think it was one of my favorite books the year that I read it. I read it when I was part of Cassidy's team for Spiffbo, and I think I loved it the most of all of us because it's just such a me book, and it's just following this woman. She's an older main character, and she gets this inheritance, I think from her uncle, and it is a dragon's egg that they didn't think would hatch, but it hatches, and we're following like a baby dragon now that she's trying to protect, and she may or may not have a romance along the way, and she really comes to discover herself. And in this one they are traveling to kind of save this dragon and learn more about it and stuff. So I need to get to this. I thought I was going to read this the moment it came out, and I think the third one's out now, which is exciting. So yeah, my goal for 2025 would actually be to read both of the books, but a girl can dream. I'm not the biggest series completionist, as you probably know, but yeah, that was just too perfect to pass up. This challenge really made me shop my shelves because I forgot that I even had this book, and I was so excited when I found it. And this is Court of Fives by Kate Elliott. Kate Elliott is an author whose backlist I want to explore more. We read one of her sci-fi books for the Book Checkout Book Club, which is no more. All of my friends have disappeared, but they're starting to come back to YouTube, which is exciting. And since then, I've been wanting to try something else from her. This is a YA fantasy, and you don't hear many people talk about this one, so maybe I have like a little bit of a hidden gem here. If you have read this one, let me know. But Court of Fives, perfect title. It says the greatest danger is that she might win. So there's some kind of competition on the Fives court. Everyone is equal and everyone is dangerous. So yeah, do I need to start another series? Absolutely not, but I've had this for ages, and Kate Elliott has a pretty extensive backlist, and I know a lot of people adore her stuff. So I want to be one of those people. Cover by, and I realized I don't have a lot of these actually, because I probably do those 2025 releases videos or those most anticipated releases videos, and I watch a lot of BookTube, so it's rare to come across a book that I don't know anything about and I'm just in love with the cover. But I did add this to one of those videos just because of the cover, so it counts to me. And this is The Surviving Sky by Kritika H. Rao. Do I have to explain? Look at this cover. This cover is absolutely stunning. I would hang a print of this cover on my walls. The more you look at it, the more details you notice. This has since got some mixed reviews, but I'm going into it with an open mind. I don't mind that at all for my sci-fi kind of stuff. I feel like if it's a little bit weird, if it's a little bit different, I tend to like it. I think the sequel to this is out. I haven't heard many people talk about it. This is a stiff spine. Is this a UK edition? I feel like the UK editions are always a lot stiffer, so I don't want to break it though because it's so pretty. But yeah, there we go. Cover by. It's a bit longer. I've had this since it came out. Tasha Suri blurbed the back, who's like one of my favorite authors of all time. And I just know that this is like cli-fi, which I said in one of my other videos I want to read more of in 2025. For seasonal book, I decided that I'm going to go for a Christmas romance. So we'll have to wait till like November, December for this one. But it's a book that everybody read in 2024. People were raving about it. It was on my TBR and I just never got to it. And that is The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I know that the sequel comes out for St. Patrick's Day and it looks really cute, but I'm going to have to wait because I do want to save this for that time. And obviously it is like a spin on The Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's in a world where the holidays are like cities and there's a Prince Halloween or a Prince Christmas. It's pretty much red, white, and royal blue, but maybe add a little fantasy and make the princes of holidays. I don't know, it sounds out there, but people are loving it, and yeah, I want to get on the hype train. So this year I will get to that. Obviously for a lot of these I'm going to read other books that will work for the different prompts, but I'm going to try to stick to the ones that I chose in this video, and if at the end of the year I didn't get to them, I'll cheat a little bit. But for LGBTQ+ rep, I went for Most Ardently by Gabe Cole Novoa, and this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, and there's nobody who loves Pride and Prejudice more than me. I have a whole shelf there that I'm staring at that is just different editions of Pride and Prejudice. I think my most watched video on this channel is me showing off my collection when I first started my channel, and it's grown since then. And I love a retelling. I know some people are precious about retellings when it comes to their favorite books. I'm not, but I understand where that comes from. But I've been loving this whole project where they're taking these remixed classics. So they're taking Great Gatsby, Pride and Prejudice, Little Women, and YA authors are doing their takes on them, and they tend to have happier endings. The ones that have like sadder endings, obviously Pride and Prejudice is a romance, but I think I've loved every single one that I read so far, and I have a couple on my TBR still. This one I feel like it's gonna be my favorite, and that's why I haven't read it yet. And I've told myself this year, stop depriving yourself of books you think you're gonna love, and that's already been going well because my first read of 2025 is probably my favorite read of the year already, so there you go. So yeah, I just thought that this was the perfect pick for that prompt. For favorite authors new release, obviously Tien Kingfisher is my favorite author. This is no secret. And she blesses us every year, it seems like, with at least 1 or 2 releases. I think we're just getting one this year, and that is Hemlock and Silver, and it comes out in August. That seems to be when she's starting to put out her dark fantasy retellings lately, and I'm all for it. I cannot wait for this. I wonder if there's going to be an arc for it because I'm just itching to read it. We don't even have a cover yet. I think the synopsis is very short so far, but I feel confident that the day this comes out, I'll read it. So of all the prompts on this bingo board, I'm most confident that that is one I'm going to finish. For hyped book, I felt like I had to go with a fantasy romance because I'm still trying to figure out what works for me and what doesn't in fantasy romance. I'm having a hard time with it, even though when I love it, I really love it, and then when I don't, I struggle and I tend to DNF. So I decided to go for a really hyped one, and this is Slaying the Shadow Prince by Helen Sheffer. and people just love this entire series from her. There's a series, I forget what it's called now, but all of them start with slaying the something, and I've read one of them and I really liked it, but they tend to get mixed reviews. But this tends to be people's favorite. And then there's a whole other series from her that this is all part of the world. It's all very confusing, you know how fantasy romance is, but people absolutely love this one. I saw it on a lot of people's favorite books of the year. It says that it's perfect for fans of A Court of Silver Flames, which I haven't read, The Bridge Kingdom, which is one of my favorites, and it's an epic fantasy romance with enemies to lovers, scorching spice, and a richly woven world of magic. So we'll see how I feel, if I am as hyped on this one as everybody else seems to be. But I've seen people who say they also are struggling to figure out what they like in fantasy romance, loving this, so I'm hopeful. I had a few options for color of the year. I actually had to ask some friends because it's this mocha brown color, which I feel like is not the most common color for book covers. But I ultimately went for a reread because it just felt right to me, and I'm going for Slewfoot. I feel like a lot of this, like the font and this moon back, it's close enough, right? And I just love this book. I read this for the Black Hat Book Coven, and it was like when I was a guest, and there's some nostalgia for it, and it's why I'm part of the book club today. This is such a weird size, isn't it? But it's one of my favorite horror books, one of my favorite witchy books. I still think about this book quite a bit, and it is one that I think I will love even more upon rereading it and knowing kind of where the story goes, and to cheer the main character on and all that stuff. So it's the one reread on my list because I'm not the biggest rereader, but this is one that I'm kind of craving. For POC author, I'm gonna go with my current read, and this is Kiss and Spell by Celestine Martin. This is a good way to shamelessly plug the Black Hat Book Coven because this is our January book, and we're gonna be discussing this book on Lisa's channel, and she is a guest host with us this month, which is always so much fun. We just did sprints with her last night and it was a blast. So this is a witchy contemporary romance, which is my bread and butter, and I really love it. And there was some surprise fae in it. I'm only a few chapters in, but I didn't know that the love interest was a fae. If you look at the cover, there are some signs now, but I didn't notice that at first. So that was a nice little surprise, and apparently it's in the synopsis. I just went along with it because it was the book. And I'm always open to a contemporary witchy romance. This is actually the second in the series. I haven't read the first one yet, but you don't have to read them in order at all. So I can't wait to discuss it. You should join us. And yeah, I'm having fun with it. There are a ton of novellas that I could have put on this list. I always read a few novellas a year because I really do love them. But I went for The Butcher in the Forest by Premi Muhammad because I think I read one or two books from them in 2024, and they really surprised me and I really love them, and it's perfect for a readathon. And anything with the forest, anything fantastical and a little bit eerie that has that setting is gonna appeal to me. I heard some good things about this one, so that's the one I went for. For 5-star prediction, I went for one that I've talked about a few times. I had it on my December TBR, like books I have to read before the end of the year, and of course time got away from me, didn't finish it, didn't even start it. But it is The Shadow of the Wind, and I know that this is so many people's favorite book of all time. A lot of people who I feel like I have similar taste to, and even people who I don't. I just feel like there's something about this book that is pretty much universally loved, and I've had it for ages. It's yellowing. It's just been sitting there waiting for me to devour it. Another one where it's like, you know you're gonna love it, you're saving it for some special moment that's never gonna come. There's never a perfect time, so the time is 2025, okay? You have to read it. For comped, I feel like there were a ton of books that I could have chosen because I feel like every book is comped to something these days, but I was really just looking for an excuse to put this book on here, and I saw that it was comped to something on Goodreads, and perfect. So I went for Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang. Again, this is one that so many people love. It's kind of a 5-star prediction for me as well. Magic has made the city of Tehran an industrial utopia, but magic has a cost and the collectors have come calling, so it sounds really good to me. It says it's for fans of Leigh Bardugo, V. Schwab, and Fullmetal Alchemist, so that is quite a mix. We will see if that is accurate, but I just know people adore this. There are a ton of gorgeous special editions out there as well, and I know that it's been picked up, but I have this self-published edition. Let me know if that matters. I don't think it does, but excited for it. For friend rec, again, I could have gone for 1,000 things. A lot of my friends on Booktubes, obviously I watch all of their channels. I get recommendations all the time. Same with Instagram, same with the book clubs, same on Discord. But I went for my friends on Discord because I talk to them pretty much every day and they force books on you, so you feel like more pressure to read them. And this does sound like a Kristen book. It was well beloved in the Discord. So it's sorcery and small magics, and honestly, I know nothing about it for as much as they have gushed and gushed about it. I've tried to avoid too much discussion of it. I do have the audiobook downloaded, and I don't know that it got that much attention. It was a 2024 release in the later half of the year, and it probably got lost in all of the other things that were coming out, but I've heard it's fantastic. So the people who have read it, have loved it, and I think that'll be me as well. Over 400 pages. A lot of these are over 400 pages, which is not normal for me, and is probably why they've been sitting on my shelves for as long as they have. But this one is over 480. So this is the Jasad Air, and this was a 2023 release. It was put on the romantasy category in Goodreads, and everybody told me that is wrong. So I'm gonna go into it with the right expectations. It was one that I was really excited for at the time, and it says an unmissable tale of shattered kingdoms, forbidden magic, and cunning royals unfold in this Egyptian-inspired epic fantasy debut. Do we know if the second one's coming out? Who knows? So, but I'm going into it with the right expectations, I think, and I'm actually still very, very much looking forward to it. Special edition, I had some options. All up here are, you can't see it in this video, thankfully. They're all my Fairy Loot books that I haven't read. These ones I've read, there's some over here I've read, and then all behind me up here, I haven't touched. And that's not good. There's a reason why I canceled my Fairy Loot subscription, but one that it's a shameful I haven't read because I feel like I'm gonna love it. Everybody freaking loves this book is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, and it's just a duology, so I can do it. This edition is absolutely beautiful. Mine got a little bit ruined, but that's okay. And it's signed as well. It's one of those ones, like this edition for some reason, when it was sprayed, all the pages are stuck together, so that might be part of the reason why I have been avoiding this, but that is probably also just an excuse. I'm sure you've heard a lot about this one. It is a fantasy romance, no god, no war, no one can come between them, and they're exchanging letters, and I think there's some kind of magic between them. She writes to her brother and this guy responds instead, and it's enemies to lovers. So the people who love this really, really love it. For chapter titles, I have a self-published book. It's a Legacy of Witches, and it's a witchy book that I haven't read. I think this is Why Choose. This is one that I think Hannah from Hannah Blackwell loved, and I fell for it and I bought it. And that's perfect because not a lot of the books that I looked at that I physically own have chapter titles. So it says Demon Bound. What other chapter titles do I have in here? The Secret Odyssey, Launch Mode. So that is good. It is short. And obviously there is a sequel, and I think this is the start of a whole series. I know that she absolutely loves this author in general, Cass Kay. So maybe for October, but something about it really is calling to me right at this moment. I read a ton of debut authors a year, so this was an easy one for me, but I went for a 2025 release that I've been hearing good things about, and it's already out. So I think I can probably get the audiobook for that one pretty soon. And it's called A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. Dragons, I need more dragon books in my life in 2025. So that's one to have your eye on as well. And I would just love finding new debut authors. There are a few that I read in 2024 that have become like potentially all-time favorites. Like I think 2 or 3 of the books on my best books of the year were debut authors who debuted in 2024, so I hope I have the same experience in 2025. I try to resist FOMO or falling into the hype, but I couldn't for this one, and that is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. And I thought that this would be perfect for mental health rep because I've heard so many people talk about it, and the one thing that people really appreciate about it is the OCD rep in this book. And it is on the longer side. It is a fantasy romance. There are some trials in this as well, but even some readers who I didn't think would like this have loved it, so that gives me hope. And I actually have a Phantom bookmark in here from Maggie's romance readathon. It was Phantom of the Opera themed, so I already have my themed bookmark in here, and I'm ready to go to read this one. So there's like a competition, there's a circus books often let me down, but hopefully this one doesn't. I've heard it's pretty dark, but it's great to have an excuse to read this one and not have it sitting on my TBR for 5 years like some of the other ones on this list have been. There are obviously a ton of books out there that have snakes on the cover, but the one I settled on is one I have the audiobook for and has been recommended to me so many times, and that's A Witch's Heart. And we read one of her books, Genevieve Gornichek, I believe is the author. We read The Weaver and the Witch Queen for the Black Hat Book Coven, and it was my favorite book that we read all year for that book club, and people say her debut is even better. And obviously it's like Medusa, she's got snakes for hair, so I just thought that that was a perfect one to put on here. Perfect chance to finally get around to reading that one, because I know so many people in my real life and my friends on BookTube and even people in the comments have told me they think I'm gonna like that one, so we'll do it. Self-published, obviously I own a lot of self-published books, but I wanted to do something on my Kindle because my Kindle is full of them. So there are a ton on there because I do fall into the trap of stuff your Kindle day. I have a million, but I wanted to do A Light by H. Cunningham because I loved what's that, Out of Office by her, and that is her traditionally published book, and she got 2025 release, and I'm excited for that traditionally published. But I realized a lot of her other stuff is on KU and she self-publishes it all, And I want to put some more contemporary romance on this list because it's very, very fantasy heavy, I've realized. So she does write some steam. I've heard that her self-published stuff is even steamier, as you could probably tell by the cover. This is the start of a trilogy. I have it ready to go, downloaded from KU, or did I have, no, I think I have that one from Stuff Your Kindle Day actually. So I have that one ready and I'm really looking forward to it because I like this author, I already know that. New to you author, can you believe I've never read anything by Stephanie Garber? Stephanie Garber was like a booktube darling, has been for years, since, what was the first series? It was a circus one that was being compared to The Night Circus. It's bad that I don't even know the title of that one. It was so popular. Is that on here? Nope. Because people know what it is and I forget. But it was comped to The Night Circus and I didn't like The Night Circus. But people really sold me on Once Upon a Broken Heart. It's a spin-off series from that first series, and I don't think you have to read that first trilogy to appreciate this one, but let me know if that's not true. And I don't know, it just appealed to me and I bought it. I've had it for quite a while now. How far would you go for Happily Ever After? I think this is a completed trilogy as well. The writing's big. There's some like mixed media things in here which I didn't know, which is always fun. And I do like whimsical writing. I just don't know why circuses tend to flop for me. They're just not whimsical enough for me a lot of the time. I don't know why. So yes, this is the year that I finally read something by Stephanie Garber. This is my secret shame. I cannot believe I have not read this book. I've had this on my TBR for ages. I've been wanting to read from this author for ages, but this is Beloved by Toni Morrison. I just don't think that I am emotionally ready for this, but I know that this again is a lot of people's favorite book. It is so loved. Another situation where I just put off books that I think I'm gonna love. I think I have to be in the right mood for this one. I'll probably want to annotate it and tab it, but I'm ready for it. And then last but not least is to read a book for another challenge, and I wasn't really planning to do another challenge this year because I just get too bogged down by all of them, but I figured maybe I'd attempt Kayla's challenge because I'm always curious about it every year, and that's her buzzword challenge where every month she picks a word and you just have to read a book that has that word in the title. And for January it's Truth and Lie. So I went for All the Dead Lie Down, which is not probably the right connotation for the word lie that she meant, but it still works. And I just wanted something gothic on this list. I think I have a couple things, but that's like where my heart is. I love anything gothic, so wanted to put that on there. I've had this downloaded on audiobook for a long time, probably since it came out. I have it on Everend, and it's always appealed to me. I just haven't had an excuse to read it, and it's one I always forget about. So to have it for this challenge and the buzzword challenge, so that means I should be reading that in January. And it is the 12th today, or the 13th. It's the 13th today, so I'm running out of time already. Maybe it'll be my next read, because I really do want to commit to the buzzword readathon, and she is doing ones with pictures too. I think for January it's patterns, so hopefully something that I read in January has that as well, but we will see. So those are the 25 books that I want to read in 2025. I'm really excited that it's a bingo board. I'm gonna go put together the graphic right now, print that baby out, hang it up somewhere, leave it on my desk, do something so that I can cross it off. You know, it's so satisfying. I wish I was somebody who did like a bullet journal, but 2025 is not the year for me to start doing that, I don't think, so that'll be enough for me. So let me know if you've read any of these, if you are also participating in this challenge, and I look forward to seeing what 2025 brings for us all. I can't wait to talk to you all, and thank you all for your support. I'll talk again soon. Bye for now.